So it was a rough day in the NFL yesterday, certainly for Miami Dolphin fans, but also for New York Giant fans, among others. And the Giants were this close to be able to pull it off on the road. I mean, they scored 30 points for the first time in 100 years. Everything was looking well until Graham Gano hit a 63-yard field goal, and then there's that. So I wanted to talk some Giants football today, and I couldn't find anybody better to do so than Chris Bisignano. He's from the Giant Insider, a great publication in the Northeast, covers the Giants, and there is no better information on the web right now following this team than at the Giant Insider. And Chris, thanks for taking a couple of minutes and hanging out with us here today.
Okay, thanks for having me on, Joe.
No problem. All right, Chris, let's talk first and foremost Pat Shurmur. This guy usually is like watching paint dry, all right? He's very vanilla, doesn't get very animated, and what I saw from him yesterday was a lot of animation. This guy was emotional, he was angry, he was unfiltered, and it was really for the first time, since he's taken over the job here for the Giants, he became a little unhinged. What did you think of Pat Shurmur's reaction after the game yesterday?
Well, I didn't have a problem with it, Joe. Listen, it's after a tough loss, and guys are shooting questions at you about Odell, not the game. About 20 minutes after the loss. He was very frustrated with it, obviously. Listen, it is what it is. Shurmur usually is a very even-keeled guy. But coming off that loss and then having to deal with the Odell questions, obviously, he kind of reached, I guess, a little bit of a breaking point with it, and he let out some frustration. Wanted to talk football. Some guys in the media, wanted to talk Odell, and he was, he got a little pissed off about it. And it happens, Joe. Listen, Shurmur might be a pretty even-keeled guy, but he has an edge to him. He has a fire in him. Trust me, I'm around him all the time. He had that fire in him, and the rest of the NFL world saw it yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, and it's actually I was excited to see that because teams usually take on the persona of their head coach, and it was nice to see a little fire in him. And he also he didn't want to go there, but he did have some interesting things to say about the penalty calling, the refereeing yesterday. What were your thoughts on what you saw?
On what, Shurmur or the refereeing?
Both.
Well, obviously, the refereeing, the Giants they feel they have been on the short end of a lot of calls the last 2 weeks. And it's frustrating, Joe. Listen, Shurmur, he bit his lip yesterday. You could see he was biting his lip. He got into it a little bit. He felt the Collins call was ridiculous. I mean, there was no question about it. It was another insane call that went against the Giants, like a couple did in the Saints game, and a lot did yesterday. You could tell Shurmur, he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to give the appearance that they lost because of the refs, and they didn't lose because of the refs, but they contributed to the loss, no question about it. You could tell the Collins call, Joe, did really upset him, though. He did talk about that one a little bit, and some other things that happened, and it's very frustrating, Joe. That a lot of players vented their frustration in the locker room afterwards. Some very questionable calls, Joe. And it's getting to the point now. You saw B.W. Webb kind of lose it yesterday on the ref. Not condoning that, it cost the team, 15 yards. But listen, Joe, when you're doing things that you're taught by coaches to do and refs are calling it, it's a very frustrating thing, Joe. It's crucial parts of games, and the Giants, obviously, after a 63-yard field goal beats you, obviously the frustration level is going to reach to a very high level, Joe, and you saw some of that yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Bisignano joining us, the Giant Insider, at Giant Insider on Twitter publication. He's around the Giants organization, follows them, covers them. The 4th and 1 call that everybody is talking about. Here we go. Did McCaffrey get the first down? Shouldn't the refs have at least measured? Did it seem like maybe the moment happened too quick for them on the field, that they didn't react properly? Should it have come from upstairs? What are your thoughts on that 4th and 1?
Well, he was to me, Joe, I think to me and the rest of the NFL world, he came up short, McCaffrey, on that run. Now, it's the booth's responsibility when it's under 2 minutes to buzz downstairs and say, hey, wait a minute, we want to look at this. Okay, so I can't even blame the referees on that one. It's somebody incompetent who did not buzz downstairs and say, we need to look at this. Now, right away, the NFL, as they usually do, coming out and defending themselves, saying, oh, wait a minute, we looked at it really quick, and, oh, no, he got the first down. Impossible.
Right.
So, impossible that they looked at it that quick and refused to buzz downstairs and say, we need to look at this. Once again, they messed up, and they're trying to cover their own butt. We know what they're doing. The Giants got robbed on that one. There's no question. No question that should have been stopped, and they should have looked at that spot.
Yes.
No question.
Yes. And like you said, listen, it's not about necessarily one call here or there, but, you know, the Giants right now aren't in a position to be able to overcome some of the mistakes that they are making. And once again, Chris, the Giants special teams remains an issue on this, and you know the special teams could very easily, especially on their punt coverage and what happened yesterday, we could look at that, point fingers all day and go, we're still not better. Outside of the kicker maybe being better, our special teams are not better with the New York Giants.
Yeah, it's been a problem for years, Joe. Listen, Sherman's going to have, you had Odell yesterday returning punts, hoping to provide a spark, and what happens? Odell tries to make a play on a block. He tries to peel off and throw a block, and the ball hits his leg. And guess what? That's the difference, right?
Yep.
I mean, without that, the Giants probably win this game. So yeah, special teams is an issue. Although Wiley Dixon has been improvement, and Rosas, except for that one blunder yesterday where he kicked it out of bounds and turned the momentum quick right back to Carolina. He's been really solid too. So they just can't get a kickoff return going. And Odell's going to be back there, and he's going to try to, Sherman's going to try to provide the spark there with Odell and some punt returns. But, yeah, it was a big issue, Joe. And listen, that's the difference in the game, right?
Yep.
You look at it.
Amen.
Touchdown for Carolina.
Yep. And another issue for the Giants, Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider. Another issue remains there is no running game. At least there's no improvement in the running game from last year. We know Dave Gettleman came in. We were going to get the hog mollies, right? We were getting Nate Soldier. We were going to get, Will Hernandez. We're letting Pugh go. We're letting Richburg go, Fluker. And then all of a sudden now, when you compare the numbers this year to last year, we're no better in some of the categories. We're actually even worse. And that remains a problem with Saquon Barkley, a number 2 draft pick. That's a problem here moving forward.
Yeah, the run game. And you know what? The numbers would probably be even worse, Joe, if it wasn't for Barkley's ability to break the first tackle on a lot of these runs. I mean, he's created some yards on some plays that it was absolutely nothing where he's picked up a few, 3 or 4, whatever. But yeah, no, the offensive line has not been a good run blocking line as of yet, and the run games is just not there. And no matter how good Barkley is, Joe, it's the same old story. He still needs some holes to run through, And yesterday, Carolina was they were all over the run game yesterday. They were, you know what, Joe? It seemed like they even knew when the run was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were run blitzing a lot, and Barkley had no chance yesterday. But yeah, it hasn't been pretty in the run game. No question. And
the interesting thing and the good thing is for Giant fans is that your playmakers are making plays. Saquon Barkley making plays. Odell's making plays. Shepard now is making some plays. So you've got your playmakers in a position to actually do some great things and some big things, and they have been. They just haven't been able to put together all 3 facets of the game in one game and even Eli was throwing the ball better yesterday than he has. Some things are starting to click, and then what happens is other parts of this team seem to fall off, and then at the end they just can't overcome. But the playmakers are at least making some plays now, Chris.
Yeah, listen, it was a concerted effort to get the ball downfield yesterday, no doubt about it. Eli did get the ball down the field, hit some things going. I mean, we don't even have Ingram either, Yeah. Ingram's a big part of it still. And he's been out. But like you said, Joe, football is a three-phase sport. You have to have all three phases going. And the special teams hurt us yesterday. And listen, you know what, referees and all that, but the Giants' defense has got to get a sack there in that last drive of the camp. Somebody has to step up and get that sack. They need that stop, and they didn't. They went down and they got in the field goal position. Mind you, it was 63 yards, but they did line up for the field goal, and they did beat us. So, like you just can't get all three parts going, Joe, at once. And until they do that, it's going to be a lot of losses like this.
Let's talk some positives here, because there were some positives to come out of this game yesterday. Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider, at Giant Insider. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. If you're a Giants fan, no better information and point of view than what they've got going on there at Giant Insider. Listen, the Giants could have folded up at halftime and just packed their shit up and went back to New York. They were awful in the first half, and they didn't. They came back. They showed heart. And I know a lot of the comments from the players on Twitter and social media after that game kept talking about how proud they were of each other. I know Nate Solder talked about, becoming a unit and being closer and bonding. And maybe sometimes the greatest things to come out of losses is the ability of this team to start getting each other's back and moving forward. Do you think, as hard a loss as this was yesterday, that it might be exactly what the Giants need to be able to come together despite Odell's comments here the past week? Maybe this is what they needed moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great point, Joe. Great point. Because you know what? Sometimes gut-wrenching losses brings a locker room together. And that's what I sensed yesterday. Listen, Joe, the Odell comments didn't rip apart the locker room. I'm in the locker room all the time. I think the players all understood what Odell was saying. He wasn't calling them out for saying they didn't have heart. He was just, Odell just didn't choose the right word, the way he expressed himself. He was just trying to say we need to kick it up more with the passion and come together a little bit more. The players knew what he was talking about. There was no problem in the locker room at all with what Odell said. And then he addressed the team Saturday night saying, you guys know what I meant. I'm just trying to say, let's get together on this and this and that. It's a past issue as far as the players go, Joe. And as far as this loss, yes, I saw Nate Solder came out with that. I think it's a very bonded unit, even more so now after that loss. And yeah, listen, when a team plays like that, when they're together, when they're coming together, Joe, you start seeing it on the field, and I do believe you will see a better Giant team as we move along in the season, Joe.
Well, they don't have a lot of time to feel sorry for themselves because it's a short week. Thursday night, the rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, Thursday night football. I thought the defense played amazing yesterday with their hair on fire. When you hold Christian McCaffrey to just 3.4 yards per carry, you're doing something really good, especially without Olivier Vernon, which you miss on the edge, that is for sure. But short work week, got to get back at it today with this team, taking on a Philadelphia Eagles team who also seems to have a whole bunch of issues of their own they're trying to work through. And with Dallas not taking advantage and Washington playing tonight, it's not as if the Giants are out of this, or are they, Chris?
No, they're not out of it at all. You like you said, it's a short work week. If they come around Thursday night, they come back and win this game. You're looking at the Eagles have the same amount of losses, and the Cowboys. Listen, the Cowboys are just like what they are right now, 2-3, and the Redskins. It remains to be seen. They have a real good test tonight in New Orleans. So no, not out of it at all, Joe. Nobody's running away with this division. So that's how, a win Thursday night. And people start saying, whoa, wait a minute here. We have 10 games left and we could do some things. So, no, Joe, do not believe they're out of it whatsoever. Unless they lay an egg Thursday night, but, they're right there. So it's going to be a real interesting one against the Eagles in a few days.
And it's been a tough stretch for the Giants, too. I mean, where they have 3 games on the road against 3 very good opponents, and then now they're going to go home. They're going to get Philadelphia, short work week. The schedule was not great, to say the least, to start this year for the Giants. And they very easily could have 2 wins, even possibly 3 wins in that schedule. It didn't work that way, but they're not out of it. But the schedule hasn't helped them very much either.
No, listen, the schedule's been tough. They got to play the Eagles Thursday. They got to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
The following week, it's been hard, but listen, it's the NFL. It's no excuses. You you know, you have to beat these opponents. You know, like you said, they could have had a couple more wins. But you know what, Joe? A lot of teams look at that around the league and say, hey, play it here and there. You know, we could have had this win, this and that. They don't. They are what they are. They're 1-4, and they need to improve as we go along here, starting Thursday night against Philadelphia. You know, nothing's easy in this league, Joe. No. Nothing is easy in this league. You see it every week, right, Bud? You see it every week. Somebody's knocking off somebody, you know, who's favored and all that. So,
yep.
Next game up, Joe. That's the way the Giants look at it. Next game up, the Eagles, and then they worry about whoever's down the road.
Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider at Giant Insider. Great publication, follows the team, covers the team. Some great information for you Giant fans. And what's the one thing you would like to see Thursday night the Giants improve on? What is the one thing that you're just waiting for? They seem to have the different parts clicking. What is the one thing you hope to see on Thursday night with this team?
Joe, I would like to see James Betcher be a little more aggressive on the defensive end. I would like to see some more blitzing. I don't know if Olivier Vernon's coming back Thursday. A high ankle sprain. It's close with him. I don't know if he's going to be back. But I felt yesterday, Joe, that a lot of four-man rushes. I would like to see Betcher, especially now with Apple back. I would like to see Betcher be more aggressive because, Joe, when they're rushing four guys, they're just not getting there, not getting to the quarterback. We have, 6 sacks now in 5 games, and that's not cutting it in a passing league. So I want to see Betcher more aggressive in getting to Wentz Thursday night. You know, because if they're going to give Wentz all the time in the world, too, he's going to hurt them, you know, like most quarterbacks do in this league, you know. So that's what I want to see, Joe. I'm hoping that they could get a lot more pressure on Carson Wentz Thursday.
All right, there you go. Great stuff. Chris Bisignano. Make sure you follow him, Giant Insider, at Giant Insider on Twitter. Short work week, Chris. Get your ass back in that locker room. Get going. You got a game Thursday night. I appreciate the time, my friend. I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you, Joe. Anytime, bud. Nice talking to you.